Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Welcome back to our last day of our nonfiction text, The Sun. And we're going to do another Reader's Workshop lesson. And I know that in the beginning of this week, I kind of skipped over these last two pages because I wanted to save it for today. And I really want to spend some time talking about the importance of a glossary. Teachers, do you know what a glossary is? Miss Rosales?
A glossary is found at the end of the book, and it's for the readers to hone in on keywords and understand it through either a definition or a visual.
Exactly. Thank you. What a great definition. It's kind of like a mini dictionary in the back. And what I love about this book is that it has a picture glossary because, like a lot of our learners, we're all visual. Most of us are visual learners, and I need to see something to really understand what I'm learning. And so, if you look on the page where it says the picture glossary right here, we have some pictures that the author chose to choose to really give you a definition of. And I'm going to show you how we're going to really use the glossary and how it helps us add understanding and new information to something that we're learning. So I'm going to show you what I do first when I go to the glossary is there's two times I go to the glossary. Once when I'm reading the text and I'm like, I don't know what this word is, I'll flip to the back of the book and I'll find and see if they were able to give me a definition. So that's one time I use a glossary. The second time is what I'm showing you right now. At the very end of my reading, I like to go to the end of my book and just look at the glossary to make sure that I really understand each of these key words. And so I'm looking at the word core right here, and this the picture that I saw in a different page of the text. And I'm going to read the definition. It says, the core is the inner part of the sun. So I read it to myself and I make sure that I understand what I just read. So the core is the inner part of the sun. And I like to go back to the page that I read before and see if it helps me add any information to what I read about the core. So I'm going to go back because I remember that I saw a page about the core right here. And I'm going to reread the text, and it says, the sun is hot. It is hotter at the core. And I'm thinking, so I learned that the core is the inner part of the sun. And if I add that definition to the sentence that I just read here, I can say that it is hotter at the innermost part of the sun. Do you see how we use the glossary to help us add information to something we already knew? Because the author expects us to know what the core is by really explaining just the word here, but defining it at the glossary at the end. So we're going to try it with another word. So I was mind blown when I used that strategy because I learned something new. I learned what the core was, and I learned that it's the hottest inside the innermost part of the sun. So let's see another definition in our glossary here. We're going to look at probes, and I know we've talked a lot about probes. So can I have a teacher read the definition of probe for us? Miss Yakimowicz?
Probes are spacecrafts used to explore space.
Awesome. Great. So let's keep that in, let's read it in our head, reread it in our minds to remember what a probe is. And let's hold on to that definition and then go back to the page where we talked about probe and see if it adds any other information to a sentence we just read. So let's see, keep it in your mind. So we go to this page and it says, we can send probes to the sun. They will get close. So again, using the definition we just learned, it's a spacecraft used to explore space. And so we know that that's why they send the probe to the sun, because it's a spacecraft. So it's designed specifically to help us explore space. And it tells us that it helps us get data. It'll send the data back to Earth. That's how we study and learn from it. So the glossary is a really important text feature that we can use to really understand the text. And so today's assignment, we're going to try to help you use that strategy of reading using the glossary. I'll repeat the steps one more time. Read the glossary, choose one picture at a time. Don't get too overwhelmed. And then read it to yourself, keep it in your mind, and go back and reread the part in the text and see if it helps you add any information or clarifies any of your thinking. And one way we can double check to see if you really understood the information is through our assignment today. So I made you a little mix match activity here. So I've taken a screenshot of each of those pictures in the glossary. Now don't cheat, because I know you can go back and read the text, but you're gonna match the word and the definition to the picture. And I did one for you already. So this is orbits. And I did orbit means travels around in circles. And we know that right here, that we see some satellites traveling around the Earth, but there's other things in space that travel around in circles with each other. So you're gonna go ahead and read each definition and draw a line to whichever picture you think it matches to. And I'll read it in the direction. So just in case you're having trouble reading it, I'll read each for you so that you can match it to the correct picture. And again, readers, this is one way for us to check comprehension, because we don't just read to make sure we sound like a good reader. We read also to really understand what we're learning. And good readers really, yes, think and reread over and over again and use text features to support their understanding and to go deeper into what we're learning. So we look forward to seeing how you're going to use really deep, careful thinking to clarify information that you're learning right now. Thank you so much for joining us today. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Don't forget to subscribe.